everyone. My name is Cynthia. Welcome to Ramesh Studio this beautiful Monday morning. I'm so excited to be chatting with this amazing two ladies. And so there's been so much conversation about international student visa for international students. What can we do? What's the restriction? How can we get employed? How can we get enrolled into these amazing services in the country? How can we take advantage of the opportunities that are surfacing in the country? What can we do as a student? And I mean, how can we be employable? Most importantly, I know I was having a chat with some undergrad and I was telling them about some opportunities they can take as a student, and they were so shocked. And I think that's what really prompted this interview, or this chat, as we may call it. I have two incredible, very intelligent women in the studio. Anna and Helen, I will let you introduce yourself. Am I right?
So, my name is Helen Bradley, and I'm a career consultant with a focus on supporting international students, and I'm based in the career service at the University of Bradford.
Okay.
And I'm Anna Fisher, also in the career service. My role is employer and placement services consultant, focusing on international students.
Amazing. Let's start with the very first question. Can a student get employed even while they're still in the uni?
So, do you mean in terms of part-time jobs?
Yes, please.
And do you mean jobs within the university?
Yes.
So there are some jobs on the university campus, but not enough for obviously every single student. Students are recommended to work no more than 15 hours a week while they're studying, although I know the visa allows to work up to 20. Many students have success in finding part-time work in retail or hospitality. So whilst it's not impossible to find roles within the university, there's not a huge amount of them. So it is always useful to look elsewhere as well. The Broadway Shopping Centre in Foster Square, there's lots of retail roles there. And coming up to the summer as well, there'll possibly be more in hospitality.
Amazing. Anna, what can a student do to make themselves employable?
I think that there are lots of things they can do outside of the academic studies. It's a great idea to get involved in other activities outside of the academics to help to boost transferable skills that employers are really looking for.
Are these really necessary? Transferable skills?
Absolutely. So generally when people are applying for jobs, it's those transferable skills that an employer wants to see that they have, and they can come from a whole range of things, whether that's work experience on a part-time basis, previous experience, but also things like getting involved in student societies, running societies, volunteering. There are all sorts of ways to boost those skills. And I think that those kinds of skills, they're not linked to a particular sector. They are very much transferable by nature.
Sure.
So students can apply them whether they're going for a job in what they've done before or something completely different.
So it's not about I have 10 BScs and 20 MScs. You also always have to have a transferable skill. Amazing. We're doing this for international students also who probably just left their home and just here, and they definitely want to do like extra curricular activities, or after university what they can do. What services do you provide to make sure that every student in the university is employable?
So as a careers service, they can access our service whilst they're a student and for 5 years after graduation.
5 years after graduation.
And we offer appointments, one-to-one appointments, and these can be virtual. Obviously, they can be face-to-face, by email and telephone. So even if they've returned to the home country, they can still reach out and access our service. So what we do is we will, in a one-to-one appointment, we will understand what the student wants to know. It might be about how do I apply for jobs, what can I do with my degree, and as Anna sort of already touched on, we talk to them about the transferable skills. So it's recognising that maybe they have worked part-time in a care home whilst they've been studying in the UK. Their experience is in banking and they're wanting to apply for banking roles in the UK, for example. Sometimes on their CV they don't include the care work because they don't think it's relevant, but actually it gives you experience of, well, on your CV I would be highlighting the fact that I have UK experience, and think about those transferable skills that they've developed in care. So that communication, the compassion, the understanding. If they're in a customer facing role in a bank or something, it's those skills that they can take that they've developed in the care setting to transfer to a job, for example, in banking.
I feel like loads of people don't know this because I mean what comes to mind is, oh, because I'm trying to get employed as a banker, I'm trying to run away from telling the employer that I've done something in the care home, which, and like you rightfully said, is very important to state. Wow. Very eye opening.
I think that people, when you look at a job description, there's usually, there'll be a person specification or a skills required section. And quite often that is a list of skills,
Sure.
not necessarily experience of previous tasks. And in theory, if you have the skills that the job requires, you can learn the job
on it. Amazing. How does working in the UK, how does it work?
Good question. I mean, it depends on the type of role someone wants to do, the type of job. Obviously, students can work part-time while they're studying to get that bit of UK experience. In terms of graduate opportunities, there are a whole range of things to suit different types of people, really. So we have graduate schemes, which tend to be usually a 2-year opportunity that involve training as part of the job, and they tend to be very competitive. Recruitment happens very, very early on,
Sure.
so maybe from a whole year before the role will actually start. But then there are lots of other jobs aside from graduate schemes that also offer great opportunities for students, with big employers, but also with smaller SMEs, with charities, a whole range of different organisations, really. And the recruitment process will differ depending on the type of opportunity. So we always say to students, make sure you find out about all of this information well in advance so you can be as prepared as you can be to apply when you need to apply for the type of roles that are going to be best suited for you.
Helen, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to add about, I guess, being employable is demonstrating that you have the skills that the employer is looking for. And it doesn't really matter where you've developed those skills. It could be in previous roles, it could be in societies. I mean, an example of motivation and being keen to learn is the fact that an international student might have moved to the UK to continue the studies. And I think it's, to be employable, it's recognising the skills that you've got from your experience. And when you make an application for a job, it's really important that you would tailor that application or that CV to the role. So it's important not to send out the same CV every single time for every single vacancy. Even though the jobs themselves might be in a similar sector, each employer will have a different list of requirements because it's up to the individual employer to set those requirements.
Sure.
So it's having the skills to be employed, and it's showing each employer that you have the skills that they're specifically looking for.
Amazing. I'm going to quickly do a follow-up on that you just said. Can a CV actually influence an opportunity, a student opportunity to get a job?
Absolutely, yes. Because what the employer will do is they've got the requirements of their job, they've got your CV, they're essentially scoring one against the other. So what we do is we work with students to make sure that some of the keywords, or as many as possible of the keywords from the job description, are mentioned on the CV. So if a job description says attention to detail, those words, attention to detail, need to be on your
Very
CV
key.
with an example of how you can demonstrate you have attention to detail.
But how about you have a CV and you just want to, because to be honest, um, like a lot of students are just used to, let me compose a CV and just drop to every organization whether they're looking for or not. Do you advise that?
No. I mean, to increase the chances of success, it's tailoring your application. And we realise that is time consuming. But you would have your CV as a starting point. You may apply for one particular position. So you'd save that version of the CV. Then you'd apply for another one. You'd save that version. So when you saw something else, you could go back to the version that was more similar to the other one. And there wouldn't be too much work. But quality is definitely better than quantity in instances like this. You'd be better applying for 5 jobs and really tailoring your CV than 10 or 15 and just sending the same one out, because the employers can recognise it's a standard CV and not specific to their job, and then they question, well, how much do you want to work for my company, or are you just wanting to get a job?
I would say that I've never thought that employers really take that they really focus on that, because I mean well, I've not had so much job work experience, so it's okay. Hannah, what does working in the UK, like, what does it entail?
What do you
like
mean?
A job application, what does it entail?
It's very variable, to be honest. Again, it depends on the type of job. Some recruitment processes are really quite lengthy and time consuming. There might be lots of different parts. I think it's really important to read, how to apply, what you actually need to do before you even start doing anything, because sometimes a CV might not be required, for example. Sometimes it's much more of an online application form, and I think sometimes people can spend ages getting their CV, really brilliant for a job, and then they realize, oh, actually I don't need to submit that. So that's the first thing, really. In terms of online applications, often there'll be a series of questions where students or people who are applying need to kind of think of examples from their previous experience, their academics, that show or demonstrate that they have a particular skill. And they can be quite hard things to answer. So I would definitely recommend students book an appointment with a member of staff in the career service. So yeah, we can help with job applications, any part of the recruitment process, really. So whether that's the application stage, the interview stage, preparing for kind of tests that some employers use as part of the process, that again can be quite tricky if people don't understand how to approach those. So yeah, whatever stage it is, we will be able to support through our appointment service.
Amazing. It's so good that you can take a student in hand, I mean, till they get their job. Wow, very incredible. Very nice.
I mean, students can book as many as appointments as they want.
And you won't get tired. They can continue to book.
No, but they might book an appointment to have the CV or application reviewed, then they might go away and work on it. We won't tell them what to do. We won't write the CV for them. We won't write the application. We will talk them through the process, encourage them to do it, and then we can chat over it. But ultimately, it's their own work. That
because what I notice is someone can, I mean, have like so much experience and be so good at what they do, but really don't know how to put this together and write a CV. And it's so good you're taking people in hand to actually do this. Quite good. What advice do you have for international students who just got to the United Kingdom and are looking to doing something whilst they're schooling?
Yeah, so book an appointment and come and see us to help recognise the transferable skills, because we know we have a lot of international students with a wealth of experience back in the home country and have worked in some really senior positions. So quite often their CV may talk about managing staff, meeting KPIs, things like that. And they may think that there's a job at Tesco's, for example, that they want to apply for. If they send a CV that's talking about the managing, that the roles that they've done, it's not going to help them when they're stacking shelves or working on the tills.
Sure.
But from the experience that they've got of managing people, they've got excellent communication, time management, people skills. It's those skills we need to draw out from the previous experience to show that they can do a job in retail. We have no doubt in our mind that they are more than capable.
Sure.
And the employer could look at the CV and read between the lines and realise that, yes, this person is capable. But employers don't do that. You've got to tell them that you've got the skills. So it'll be drawing out the softer skills from all the, the wealth of experience that they've got. And to do that, come and see somebody in the service.
Anna, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of getting that UK-based experience, which is crucial really to be able to get a graduate role later on, consider volunteering opportunities.
Oh, yes.
They can provide some brilliant ways to develop some of those transferable skills, but also show you do have that bit of experience, although they're not paid. And I appreciate, people want and need some cash. They are really worth considering, really, for those who can. And I also would say, when it does come to making those job applications, try not to be too disheartened when things don't kind of go your way initially.
Sure.
I think sometimes students can make a lot of applications, and it is quite soul destroying really when you're not getting positive responses.
Sure.
But seek the support that you need from careers. You will get a positive outcome eventually. And all of those applications that you are making, that in itself will be
an experience.
You will learn from that.
Sure. Let's talk about volunteering. Because first off, let me ask you, how many hours do you think a student is allowed to work?
So they are, visa wise, students can work up to 20 hours a week during term time, full time over holiday periods, and those periods do differ depending on the course and the level someone's studying at. But from a university perspective, we would always recommend no more than 15 hours a week to fit comfortably alongside your studies.
Okay. And does this volunteering thing, does the time also count part of the 15 hours?
It's a good question, and it's one that we get asked about quite a lot. If it's complete volunteering, as in there's no payment in kind, so no expenses covered or anything like that, it is purely volunteering, then they do not count to the 20 hours a week allowance. That's
good. That means you can gain experiences in different places and while still not getting paid, and you can still put that on your CV.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes people are tempted to leave things off their CV, like volunteering, because they don't see it as valuable, but actually it very much is, as we've said. And it might be that, someone's able to volunteer for a few hours a week, perhaps, alongside something else that they're doing, which would be absolutely fine.
Wow. Thank you for letting me know this, because I always get asked this question. If I volunteer, I hope it's not counting a part of my 15 hours. And I still, of course, because we know the term volunteering is you don't get paid, and I still really want to make money. So do I just stick to just making the money and leaving at volunteering? And so I'm happy now that lots of students now know that they can volunteer while still doing like the other jobs. So you can do your regular 9 to 5, but please always try to volunteer, as it counts in your CV, and it goes a long way, because I know a lot of employers really watch out for that, like seriously. Okay, do you know about any visa rules, regulations that you think that students should know?
I think, I mean, we're not experts on visa, and we would signpost students to the visa team
Sure.
with any sort of real visa inquiries. But as Anna said, the restrictions allow them to work 20 hours a week
Wait.
through term time. When they get to the end of the degree, the actual get to the end of the degree, as in the course end date. With the student visa, they then have the 4 months after the student. From the end of the course, the student visa has 4 more months before it expires. So within that 4 months, they can work full time. But some courses, so if you join a course in September and it's for 12 months and it finishes the following September, through the summer before, you're working on your dissertation. And we find a lot of students are applying for full-time internships at this point and get rejected because they can't work full-time on the visa. And that is because we appreciate that they're working on the dissertation, so they maybe do have more time. The visa rules are obviously not made by ourselves, but they are here as a student in the first instance. And if they can find a summer internship where they can work 20 hours a week, then that would be fine. But just to be very careful about applying for full-time opportunities, getting to interview, even getting offered the position, to then say, well, I can only work 20 hours. The employer has probably asked for a full-time person because that's what they need.
Want.
So it's probably worth checking out before you start making the application, or seeking out part-time opportunities where they can
That's very
just fit
true.
around the visa.
That's very true, because what you find is lots of people apply for a job, and once they get employed, they will now say, oh, I'm sorry, I can do it for the next 6 months. And after then, which, I mean, already tweaks the employer off. They are not already happy about it. How can students get to book an appointment with you?
Good question. So we use a platform called Handshake. All students will have an account on there. They may need to log in for the first time and update some details and things, but they should all be on there automatically once they've enrolled. And that is the platform we use for booking appointments. You can kind of select a category depending on what the need is, and then there should be different availabilities, different times and days to suit. As Helen said before, it can be in person, virtual, by phone, but Handshake is also where we list the different events that we're running in the career service. We might have employers running a session that students can sign up to, so it's worth kind of looking at those as well, because we have all sorts going on at different times, and we also use it to advertise jobs.
That's what I was going to say. Because that's where loads of students get their jobs from, Handshake. And I would encourage every student to go on Handshake now and definitely sign. Or no, already you're signed up already, just log in. And I mean, it's a good place to also prepare your CV, put it there and ask someone to review. They will review and get back to you. It's very important. I mean, as a student, to definitely take advantage of Handshake. And thank you, Hannah and Ellen. I told you would kill it. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm so excited about this eye-opening experience. So many things I did not know, even me as a professional service. I mean, and you're just telling me. I'm excited I had the chat with you. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was good. Stop. Thank you very much.
That was
Let's take a picture before we go. 27 minutes.